following the declaration of state of emergency in Rivers State and the suspension of political office holders, including the governor and the deputy. A lot of lawyers have been wading in on the issue, talking about how it is illegal. There seems to be a near unanimous disagreement with what Tinubu did, of course with the exception from APC. They are even telling him to declare a state of emergency in Osun State. How daring can these people be? Also, the whereabouts of the governor, Sim Fubara, is still unknown. It was reported yesterday that soldiers laid siege at the government house, preventing him and his family from leaving the government house yesterday. Now, according to the speakers in the X-Space organized by Mindset yesterday, it seems the only option left for Sim Fubara to reverse what Tinubu did is the National Assembly. Both houses of the National Assembly must approve the declaration of state of emergency in Rivers State with a 2/3 majority, and APC doesn't have 2/3 in both houses. So will PDP members, all PDP lawmakers, LP lawmakers, and the entire opposition stand by and allow APC to have their way in removing an elected governor, including the House of Assembly members? When will the same thing knock on their doors in their different states? Let's hear what Professor Odinkalu has to say. After him, human rights lawyer in Effiong will speak.
I would have been surprised if this didn't happen. I certainly did expect it. And I actually called some friends last week to tell them, look, I think we're focusing on the wrong thing. As much as I admire what Natasha is doing, the fact that it had become the biggest news out of Nigeria was taking away from this. And you could see in the horizon, very, very immediate term, that we were headed to where exactly we are right now. And I was suggesting to them that there needs to be some recalibration to call attention to the fact that with where we are, the budget will not be financed and things are going to get a lot harder across the board for the country. But secondly, there is this, I hear Henry's passion and almost anger at what, for want of a better expression, I'll call surrender, despondency, popular despondency amongst Nigerians. I actually don't quite think that is true about, young Nigerians, different Nigerians are doing what they can, but they've been failed by the political opposition. Now, let's go back to the Constitution and what it says. Section 305, subsection 6 requires, if you read 305(2) and 6, it's very clear. The president can declare an emergency howsoever he wants. However, he's got to transmit the proclamation to the joint chambers. And the joint chambers have 48 hours if the National Assembly is in session, or 10 days if the National Assembly is not in session, to affirm by 2/3 majority, of each chamber establishment, they affirm and confirm the emergency. If they don't, the emergency lapses. APC does not have 2/3 in either chamber. PDP, Henry, while you were talking, PDP, Debo Ologagba, issued the statement of the PDP. And he could not find it in himself to say the party has instructed all its members in the National Assembly to vote against a joint resolution on the emergency. That is the problem. Stop blaming the people. Let us start with where the problem is. The president, Tinubu, as powerful as you want him to be, cannot sustain this emergency if PDP holds the line. PDP is a failure. And Umar, that your party is an absolute failure. This is the time when the party needs to stand up for Nigerians or for itself. Atiku has issued a statement. None of them can say we are asking our legislators to vote against this. That is the first step. Let's stop blaming the people. The people will die and the politicians will take office on top of their bones and their bodies and their blood. Right? And it is the politicians of both parties. Today, it is no longer PDP since today, the party has become IDP, internally displaced party, because it no longer has a headquarters. When Wike was revoking plots for other people, PDP as an opposition kept quiet. The easiest thing to do is to oppose APC. It does not require skill. But the party system has bailed out on the country, and it's easy to say, oh, Tinubu has destroyed the party. I'm sorry, a party that is a party cannot be destroyed by Tinubu or anybody. Obasanjo tried to destroy ACN and AC. It didn't work. So the PDP itself has been complicit in its own liquidation. And I do think that, now the first thing is this: if we have you've got to master two-thirds. To master two-thirds in the next 48 hours, because the National Assembly is in session, you have got to get a significant number of legislators from the Niger Delta. You've got to get a significant number of legislators from the PDP. The Labour Party legislators have got to be on board. And so you ask yourself, what kind of democracy is that? And we can all sit down here and wring our hands, and I hear people say, you can't cry more than the bereaved. But if the majority of legislators from the Niger Delta are going to be voting against this, to support this, who will vote for it? I lawyered the emergency following Dogo Nahawa in 2010. And I know what I went through with General Azazi, the late General Azazi, in his office as National Security Advisor, to say, no, you cannot do what President Obasanjo did. It's unlawful. It's unconstitutional. You cannot sack the governor, the way he did. The Supreme Court had made that clear. Secondly, there is a process. Now, let's even assume. And secondly, you can designate a part of the state. Now, you're declaring state of emergency in all of Rivers State. What is the casus belli? What evidence is there? Is anything the problem in Port Harcourt? Is anything the problem in Okrikaland? Where exactly is the problem? You can therefore make a state of emergency surgical. That's assuming that there is reason. But there is a third procedural issue, and which is what? Even when President Obasanjo declared an emergency over all of Plateau State and removed Governor Deriye, he did something. He first asked to see him and to listen to his side of the story. President Tinubu has declared an emergency today without even the minimal courtesy of hearing from Sim Fubara and asking him what exactly is the situation on the ground. So when people say that this is predetermined, prejudicial, and working from answer to question, it's very clear. It is politically motivated emergency. That is an abuse of the Constitution. This is, the one thing a president must never do is to politicize security and insecurity. And that is what, unfortunately, regrettably, in my view, and I suspect in the view of most well-meaning Nigerians, President Tinubu has done. The broadcast is a disgrace. And what he has done also is basically to tell Wike, you are the deputy president. That's really, really awful. But that's my main point is, if the opposition parties worked, there will be no emergency. And there is still room to work back on that. But will they? And if the legislators from the Niger Delta, a majority of them, because Godswill Akpabio is from the Niger Delta after all, if they worked together, will this emergency hold? I don't think so. But we still have 48 hours to hear. You've seen the information that the president consulted with them before proceeding with this, and they assured him that there is unanimous consent by the National Assembly behind the emergency. We are going to find out within 48 hours whether that is true.
Can a sole administrator assume gubernatorial functions? Can he make appointments that are exclusive to the governor? Can he exercise power that only a governor can exercise, that even a deputy governor cannot, including power of prerogative of mercy for these 6 months? Because all Tinubu said was there should be no new laws. So who was going to? I mean, it's just funny. But he said he can make regulations. So I'm saying, given the impacts that this will have on the workers, if tomorrow, because I think as we are talking, the military has already been deployed to enforce this. If tomorrow the workers in Rivers State say they are staying at home, the NUT says teachers are not safe, they don't know what is going on, everybody should stay at home, and schools are closed, markets are not open, and the sole administrator is the only one that finds himself on the streets. At least if the vast majority come out to reject this, maybe that will have some meaningful, outcome. But to say that, oh, let PDP do this, speaking to a useless a party that Wike is still a member, a party that the national chairman is still listening to Wike, a party that the PDP Governors Forum has not issued a statement till now. You can show me if I'm wrong. As the PDP Governors Forum even issued a statement, PDP is dead. PDP is only existing in name. As the political party, PDP is dead. It is useless. It is basically useless. It's not just ineffective. PDP is dead. Let's just agree to that. That the Governors Forum of the PDP, one of their members has just been removed through what looks like a coup. They have not issued a statement. I'm not saying they should even summon an emergency meeting. Because by now, tomorrow morning, I would have expected, in a country that has the position, that all the PDP governors will be meeting tomorrow morning to take a position. And sorry, I've taken a position as an activist never to cry more than the bereaved. That's the position. So, the man you are fighting for, Fubara, is he willing to fight for himself? Have you not seen the statement he issued? He's still as cowardly as he has been from the beginning of this crisis. So maybe there is a fait accompli. We have to wait for the 6 months. When that has elapsed, Tinubu may renew it for another 6 months. And then by 1 year, we will know what Tinubu wants to do. So, sorry, I'm not sounding optimistic. But optimism at this point may just be evidence of, mental incapacity, inability to appreciate the reality that stares us in the face. That is just all I'm saying, that only the people of Rivers State can speak to the issue in an impactful way. And I'm not optimistic that even the people of Rivers State will respond to this appropriately. We will talk on social media, we'll file, maybe some people want to go to court and file cases, but you can only go to the Federal High Court, by the way. You can't go to the State High Court to challenge this. It has to be Federal High Court. Okay? Which division of the Federal, who is going to file the suit? If NBA goes to court, does NBA have jurisdiction? Local standard? Will they allow NBA to bring the suit? Will political parties bring the action? Will PDP file a lawsuit tomorrow to say that a governor elected on his platform for 4 years has been wrongly removed? Because the PDP should have locus, since it is their governor. Will the so-called national chairman direct the legal advisor to file a lawsuit tomorrow to reverse this? If Fubara cannot fight this, I don't see any of this happening realistically. This is the web of darkness, sadly, that has enveloped our political space as the country. So, sorry, if you're expecting me to sound hopeful, there is little or no hope by my estimation. I've listened to my learned friend, his opinion. Mine is not so definite. The reason is because for you to activate the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, there are two things that must be present. Because that subject matter, two things are determinative of it. Number one is the party. Number two is the presence of disputes. There has to be a dispute. Okay? A dispute between the parties. Parties that are capable of activating that jurisdiction. And I said, look at section 231 of the Constitution on the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. You see who the parties are. Then look at what there's a law called Supreme Court Additional Jurisdiction Act that further expanded that original jurisdiction. Now, this matter is, the nature of this dispute seems to be circumscribed to Rivers State. Okay? What has happened is that the president has removed a governor of a particular state. Does that necessarily amount to a dispute between the federal government? Right? It's a dispute between the federal government and the state, by the way, not between governors. The dispute between a governor and the president, I'm not sure it's covered by the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. I'm not sure, but I know that the dispute between a state okay, and the federal government or the federation, in quotes, is within the original jurisdiction. Now, if there is a dispute, the Supreme Court has in plethora of cases offered perspective and definition on what amounts to a dispute within the purview and contemplation of section 231. I think the best bet for me is every legal option should be pursued. I'm not going to dismiss such an action. Let them try it and put the argument. It is better to have as many possible legal challenge to this as possible. Let the one that will scale through on the merits scale through. But I am not optimistic that this is possible, because that would mean that the governors of the PDP states will instruct the attorney generals to bring a joint action at the Supreme Court, so that if the president can remove the governor of Rivers, then he can also remove the governors of those states. Then in that sense, one can say there is a dispute. But on the other hand, the matter is geographical. It's limited to Rivers. So it's a yes or no thing. It can be argued either way, but my recommendation is let it be done. I have told you personally what I feel Fubara should do. By now, his lawyers should be putting the papers together. Approach the Federal High Court. I don't think he can go directly to the Supreme Court now, because there is no Attorney General. And contrary to your expectation, I can tell you, Tinubu will use all military might to enforce this order. Somebody was speaking about local government election. Sorry, Uma, there will be no local government election. You are dealing with people that are sophisticated manipulators. Before they took this decision, they have objective they want to achieve. One of which is to stop that local government election. Whoever the so-called administrator is, you may be seeing a memo tomorrow to the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission stopping them from going ahead. They will not allow it. Go and write it down. I'm ready to bet on this. They will not allow local government election for the 6 months. There are certain things that will happen. There is a part of that proclamation of the speech that you should pay attention to. Tinubu said the sole administrator that no new laws should be made. Okay, as if a sole administrator is now having both legislative and judicial and executive power. That is part of the reason why this is just insane. For those who are saying he has the power to do it. Because it will imply that we now have a fusion of both legislative and executive powers. That will clearly offend the spirit and letters of section of the separation of powers under section 4, 5, and 6. You cannot have legislative power and executive power exercised by one entity or authority under a conditional system. It is impossible. It is simply impossible. The best bet that you can have is through subsidiary legislations. So all I'm trying to explain, I'm trying to give context to you so that you will understand all these things. That let all possible actions be filed, both at the Supreme Court and at the Federal High Court. Forget about State High Court. I saw somebody saying Fubara should get injunction. There is no State High Court that has jurisdiction on the matter. It will be a waste of time. And with what has happened in the defection case, my suspicion is that judges of the State High Courts are being circumspect. You know the way our country is. Everybody will be careful. So that is my recommendation, sir. Let the PDP governors instruct the attorney generals to file the action at the Supreme Court. Let us see what the Supreme Court will say on the question of jurisdiction. But Fubara himself should be the first person to even file the action. Then PDP as a party, I strongly believe, as the locus. So before Fubara files, PDP itself should go to court. Because it is their mandate that has been truncated, mandate in quotes, that has been truncated for 6 months.